Space is bass. Look, I want to talk about getting loud with your system. Basically, SPL, making your subwoofer, your system louder. And I've decided I was going to do a series on this. I've got about 10 videos planned. Each video kind of has some various topics grouped within it. Today I'm going to cover 3 different things. When I talk about space is bass, there's 3 specific things I've got in mind that I want to discuss. And you might automatically be thinking about the box. Making a bigger box does make more bass, yeah, and we're going to talk about that too. The first one I'd like to talk about is box types. So infinite baffle. So here we got our trusty SUV, and if you were to wall this and then put your speakers right here facing forward, and you do not use a port, and you don't necessarily have to seal off this back end. You don't have to turn it into a box. It's just a wall. This back spot needs about 10 times the VAS. Sometimes with some subs it doesn't need quite as much. Sometimes you can go with about 5 times the VAS. And it turns into something called infinite baffle. These speakers basically don't have the same springboard as they would in a box, which actually can make them more efficient. Now, at the same time, typically they can't handle that much power, but per power they can get quite loud. Some people are doing like 150 dB off of just a few hundred watts with systems like this. Typically they'll cut out their maybe their wheel well, and they'll actually install a board right here, and they'll put subs in. You can go look them up online, infinite baffle subs. But the whole point is that one way of getting louder is simply using boxes that take more space. So a lot of times as you go up in order size, you get more efficient. So you go infinite baffle uses a lot of space, not necessarily going up in order size. T-lines also use a ton of space because they're basically like one big long port, and they are very efficient, and they also have good sound quality. Once again, kind of the lower orders have better sound quality, the higher orders have more group delay, but the higher orders typically get a little bit more efficient. Typically, I did say that because your T-line and your infinite baffle are just some awesome boxes. That being said, 6th orders, 8th orders, 10th orders, so on, they take up a lot more space, but they get loud. So one is using a box style that takes up more space. That will help you get louder. The other one is making, if you select a box, using a box that will get louder. So for instance, here I have selected I've got a DC audio level 315 dual tube, and we're going to throw it in a box. I think I've got it right now in a closed box. This is sealed. This is, by the way, this is Speakerbox Lite. That's the name of this software, Speakerbox Lite. And I like to use this one because it's very quick and easy to kind of learn and use and play with. I would say that there are definitely better softwares depending upon specific applications, like 6th orders. You would want to use something like Horn RSP or something like that for a 6th order design. But we're going to go ahead and let's say 2 cubic foot box for 15, which we all know. Oh, that's small. Yes, that is small. Let's go ahead and draw that. And we're going to see our dB function over here. I'm going to turn that off for the purposes of this, and then we'll go back and turn that on. Okay, I'd like to start at 30 hertz. So we're going to just look at 30 hertz. 30 hertz, people typically want to play down to about 30 hertz most of the time. So we're going to pay attention to 30 hertz and watch as things change. So right now we're negative 7.7 dB at 30 hertz. Now we'll double the box size, and we'll redraw it. And now at 30 hertz, we've gone from 7.9 to 6.1, so 1.8 dB difference just by doubling the box at that frequency. Now, you did drop a little bit up here at, oh geez, like around 60 hertz. You dropped, was that 0.7 or so? That's not bad at 60 hertz. But we're really focusing to 30 hertz because that's what people like to see. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and scroll up here. We're going to go ahead and add some transfer function. This is cabin gain. For people who don't know, cabin gain. Now, if you got a big SUV, we're going to say 30 hertz is where you resonate at. And you get a 3 dB boost at 30 hertz, and basically every octave below you get 3 dB boost. So we're going to enable that. You'll see the curve jump up a little bit there. And now at 30, and we're going to go off of that green line. You're at negative 3.1. So you did gain a little bit, even though you can still see the difference between the 4 cubic foot box and the 2 cubic foot box. In fact, we can go in and disable. We're going to go ahead and hide that 2 cubic foot box. All right, perfect. So now we were at what, like negative 7 or something like that. Now we're at negative 3.1. Now, here's something else to think about too. When I talk about space as base, a lot of times we think of the box, and we think of using more space for our box and for our subs makes more base, which is true. But if there's a big difference between, you go ahead and say you've got a sub back here, just a simple sealed box with a sub. All right, and you're filling this entire cabin. Now think instead, go ahead and erase that. Think instead you walled this. And now you've got your sub or subs. Okay, even if this is your box, it's a super small box, and it's sealed off from the back part of the cabin, and it's just right here facing forward. You're using half the cabin. Okay, so let me go ahead and come back to this. And what does that mean? So we're talking about the Helmholtz reservation, basically the resonance of the cabin. And we decided that if you got a big SUV, you're about 30 hertz. Well, what if you cut that in half, and now you're only basically making a wall and you're pushing the box forward? Even if you just got that 115, if it's half the size, it's twice the frequency, because essentially you're making that cabin smaller. Your resonance now just shot up to 60 hertz. You still have that 3 dB in effect. Now, this 3 dB, this can change quite a bit. We're using 3 dB right now as an example, but we're going to enable that. And now at 30 hertz, you are at negative 0.7 dB. So we went up several dB just by thinking of terms of space as base. And what we did was reduce the cabin size, increase the box size. Now you can imagine if you did this with an infinite baffle box, or if you did this with maybe an 8th order box, something designed to get very, very efficient, very loud, and you use a lot of space for it, this might push even higher. You might get some pretty incredible results. But also, we were doing this at 0.3 dB, we were assuming a cabin gain of 3 dB. 3 dB you can assume for your typical car, your leaky car, no cabin modifications, no deadener, no foam filling, stuff like that, okay? And we've already got, basically, when we did this box, we already walled the back part of the, right behind the front seats, right? We were assuming, let's just wall this part off. So this part is now hard. It's not as leaky. You imagine doing some deadener and foam in the rest of the vehicle, and now you're looking at a 6 dB gain. And look at this. Now at 30 hertz, you are 2.4 dB louder. So you're up like something like 9 dB just from that. So space is space. So reducing the space in the cabin and increasing the space that you're using for your subs will definitely help. I want to get into cone area is king and also talk about no replacement for displacement. Those are kind of slogans that people toss out for different things that'll help them get loud. So we'll talk about those some in the future too. But Space is Bass is one of my favorites, just because people don't realize how much space factors into everything in the car audio system. You want to make space for your subs, and any little bit of space that you can reduce, there's less space they have to fill. Anyways, I hope this helped. Hopefully next week I'll do another one on SPL Secrets. I know I still got that second part of Sundown to do. I've been working on getting a little space set up to record. So, cheers guys. Thank you for all your support. I hope you love the videos. Let me know if you have any ideas, thoughts, comments, anything else Space is Bass related. Throw it down below. If we get enough information together, I will make a Space is Bass 2. But for right now, this is episode 1 of the SPL series. And I love you guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. And I will catch you online hopefully tomorrow or the next night. All right. Cheers.